Спасибо. Не. На прокат. Okay, let's start. Hello, everybody. Nice to see all of you here. And my name is Sergey Baranov. I'm Sitecore developer from Brimit. And today I want to tell us about new very great feature of Sitecore 9 that's named Sitecore Cortex. And also we will speak a lot about machine learning because it's a main part of Sitecore Cortex. And I think that it's the main the biggest trouble that Sitecore developers can be faced with. And also I prepared a demo. It's named Sales Forecast, and I will show you it in the end of my presentation. Okay, let's start. This is my agenda. First of all, we will speak about Cortex. What is it in general, just for understanding. And next, we will speak a lot about machine learning. Then we will have a small overview of architecture patterns that we can use for some scenarios when you want to use Cortex in new solutions. And then I tell a little bit about my demo, how does it work. I show you some code snippets, and of course show how does it work in real, and also I will be glad to answer your questions. Okay, let's start. What is Sitecore Cortex? Maybe anybody already have experience with Cortex? No one? Okay, Sitecore presented Cortex as advanced marketing toolset that can leverage with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, what does it mean? Cortex is not something real like Xconnect or marketing automation. It's just a name of all models, features, toolsets that use data science in its implementation. What Cortex consists of? From Sitecore side, from Sitecore side we have Sitecore, and we have new Xconnect job that is named Processing Engine. And if we implement something with machine learning or artificial intelligence, we can name our model like Sitecore Cortex model. Okay, why do we need Cortex in general? As you know, for example, Sitecore have a lot of analytical data, a lot of statistics, a lot of numbers, but what we do with these numbers? Nothing. We can just to see beautiful charts in analytical dashboard, but we also must use these numbers to optimize our content, because these numbers and statistical data, it's our main communication channel with our customers. And we should understand what this data means, improve our content, and machine learning is the place where machine learning come in. Why we need it? First of all, there are some tasks that are very complex for content editors. For example, boss ask content editors to divide customers into 3 groups based by their orders. Just imagine that we have a product store with many orders, and we need to divide our customers in 3 groups: who is a good customer, who is a bad, and who is the best. But how can we implement these rules before we don't know who is bad, who worst? For example, we have one customer that have only one order in this year, but very, very expensive order. And who is this customer? Good, best, or bad? It's unclear. And machine learning can easily do this task. Also, machine learning with Cortex can use to recognize patterns inside your data or discover new patterns. So for example, as I said, we can divide our customers in several groups based on their orders. And also, if we don't know explicit programming instruction, how we can explain to Sitecore what rules should it use, we can use machine learning to do it instead us. And what can we achieve by using Sitecore Cortex? We can, of course, improve our content, improve personalization. We can do programmatic advertising based on different type of users. We can create segmentations of users, for example, to do a different mail out to different type of users. Also, machine learning can make prediction for recasting. And there are many features like recommendation system, churn analysis, spam detection. There are many. But if you're not familiar with machine learning, it's not so easy to start, but it's not so. Let's have a look at what we have in Sitecore Cortex out of the box. The simplest one feature that Sitecore implemented in 9 version is the content tagging. Maybe someone will try. How does it work? No. Okay, content tagging, it's a very simple feature that you can install in 5 minutes. How does it work? You have in Sitecore page item. This item can have some content, text content. Sitecore extracts this text content and push it to a third-party service that have machine learning implementation, and as a result, the service get to Sitecore a list of text, and that's all. But it also depends related to Sitecore Cortex, because we have this in this situation machine learning. The main feature that Sitecore presented in 9 version is a new job that's named processing engine. How does it work? Processing engine is responsible for extracting data from XDB, filter this data, make a model that you need for machine learning, and push this model to any ML services. And the main complex feature is personalization suggestion. It's very complex. I decompile it to see how does it work. As you know, we have a Sitecore tests. We can create a test for our page, any page. For example, we have page 1, A/B testing. We have page A with one content and page B with second content. And we run a test, for example, for 2 weeks. And when the test is finished, Sitecore calculate what variant have biggest engagement value, and this page is a winner. But now, when you open test results, you will see a tab that is named personalization suggestions. Sitecore uses machine learning to build rule conditions from existing. that Sitecore suggests you to apply to this page to reach the best engagement values. It's really cool and it's work. Okay, machine learning is the main part of Cortex. If you want to implement something you own, you should have a basic understanding how does it work, what is the machine learning workflow, and what is it in general. And this is machine learning workflow. For machine learning, you always need an initial data set. It looks like a tabular structure. It can be CSV file or Excel, any list of POCA objects. The first step is prepare a model. For example, you have database from XConnect, and the step prepare a model, you just need to extract needed data from XConnect and map this data to structures that you need for your tasks that you need to solve. For example, for my situation, from my demo, I need to have a data structure like this. I need a product ID, growth by year, by month, total units sold in months, count of units in order, and not interesting. Then, when we have a data set, we will call training algorithms where we push our data, and as a result, we will have a trained model. And this trained model we can use for prediction, and for any to achieve any results that we want. But when you have a training model, we need to understand maybe it's bad or maybe it's good, how to understand how. We need to evaluate our model. How does it work? Machine learning engines have a lot of criteria, coefficients, and algorithms that can evaluate your model and show you statistics, how good is your model. For example, in general, it's almost all in percentage. For example, your trained model is good at 86%. And if you evaluate a model and the results is good for you, you need to deploy this model, is just save it, and then you can use it for your purposes. But all machine learning algorithms can be divided in several groups. There are two main groups that names supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning. The only difference between them is that supervised machine learning have an initial data set where one column is answer for things that you want to predict. For example, just imagine we have customers and we have a special contact facet that is named contact type. For example, it's enum and can have values like developer, QA, marketer, sales. And a lot of our customers has this facet set, but the rest of contacts don't have. And we want to predict who is contact with unknown contact type. And we will make a tabular structure for this, and one column will be contact type with known values, developer, QA, the marketer, and so on and so on. And now, after training a model, we can call prediction for this trained model and pass to this model data of our unknown contact, and machine learning return as a result a contact type for this unknown contact. Inference unsupervised learning is the same, but we don't have any column in our dataset that we want to predict. And semi-supervised is just a combination of these two. It's where a part of your dataset has a marked labeled column and part of data in dataset don't have. And the last one is reinforcement learning. It's real artificial intelligence, NLP, and any algorithms that can learn itself. Supervised learning. As I said, for example, in our initial dataset, we have some data, and one column in our data is labeled like as cat or no cat. We train our model, and then we want to consume for unknown datasets. As you see, our trained model can recognize who is a cat in our model that we want to predict and who is no cat. Supervised machine learning can be divided into categories of problems. The first category is a classification problem, when we want to divide our dataset in some groups, but if we don't know criteria for dividing, machine learning can do it itself without any instructions. And the second one is regression. Regression works, you have some points in your dataset, and regression algorithms can predict how does it will be for future or past points for graph. For example, we have used this regression algorithm in our scenario. We want to predict how many orders we will sell in September. Yes, as I said, unsupervised learning as a data set, you have a data where you don't have a label for your data rows. For example, there are Disney characters, and machine learning can itself split it into groups. For example, the first group will be all ducks, and the rest is the rest. And when we will, in future, to predict something, we can use our trained model, for example, to ask who is Darkwing Duck, and machine learning tell us that Darkwing Duck is related to a group of ducks. Also, unsupervised learning can be divided into big type of problems. The first one is clustering, when we want to discover patterns in our dataset. And machine learning can do it also without any instructions and divide dataset in groups by some criteria. And the second one is association. It is widely used in recommendation system. Move on. This slide is just for photo. It's very long to explain. There are most commonly used algorithms for machine learning. And for example, if your customer asks you to implement something, first of all, you need to identify what kind of machine learning problem is it, and you can also find an algorithm that you can use for this. Okay, let's have a little overview about machine learning engines. Now, as you know, right now there are a lot of machine learning engines. Even there are many online machine learning servers that you can use without any installation of separate environment. But let me overview just engines and services that related to Microsoft. First, the most famous is the Microsoft Machine Learning Server. Sitecore Cortex has out-of-the-box implementation of data provider into Microsoft Machine Learning Server, and you can easily use it if you have installed Microsoft Machine Learning Server. But this is one blocker. If you want to use it, you should know a language. It's a machine learning language, and in Sitecore Cortex content, you don't have any IntelliSense. You just need to write your algorithms like a string. And the next one is Azure Machine Learning Service. It's the same, but hosted in Azure. Also, if you have new version of Microsoft SQL, I think it works from SQL version 2016. SQL has a new service that named R service, and you can implement your machine learning algorithms just like SQL query. And for example, if you want to extract data from XDB, you can just open SQL Management Studio, make a query, and implement already algorithm for doing something with machine learning. And the more interesting for us is ML.NET cross-platform framework. Microsoft announced it, I think, a month ago, the first release. It is very good. We're starting to work with it from January with beta versions, but right now it's a very big GitHub community where you can find a lot of examples. And all these algorithms are C# based, and it's very useful for Sitecore developers who don't know Python, Scala, or language, or any other popular machine learning languages. Also, you can install ML.NET directly in your Sitecore solution with Nugget. I recommend it to try it because it's really cool and all algorithms are very easy. It's about 5-10 lines of code to make a working solution. Also, Microsoft presented a model builder for ML.NET, and you can install extension for Visual Studio where you can create a solution with UI. It's not so extended. For example, you can choose a scenario that you want to implement, but there are only price prediction and segment analysis. After you choose a problem that you want to solve, you can upload your CSV file with tabular structures that you have. And this is a button, start training, and machine learning start to train a model by using about all of known training algorithms for this problem that is known. And for example, for this test, it's test from Microsoft. This model builder used 5 different algorithms to train model and calculate what is the best, and suggest you to create solution based on results. And you can really create a machine learning site of your Sitecore Cortex in 5 minutes. And let's have a look, how does it work. It's a very simple example, but it's really cool. Machine learning chooses the best algorithm that it found, and suggest you to create a new project, and you see a new project was added to your solution. Okay, let's speak a little about architecture patterns. First pattern is named solid architecture. How does it work? You have a Sitecore. You have Sitecore visitors with many contacts with interactions. All this information, when submitting, is stored in XConnect. Then Sitecore processing engine can extract this information from XDB, prepare your data that machine learning can understand, and push this data to machine learning. Machine learning build a trained model, and you can consume results from this training model by your Sitecore Cortex engine. It's a out-of-the-box solution in Cortex processing engine that Sitecore have out of the box. If you want to integrate with Microsoft ML Server. But there are some blockers. For example, if you want to make prediction on button click on your website, you can do it because there is no communication, no direct communication, HTTP communication between Sitecore and processing engine and Sitecore and machine learning. All that you do with this architecture, you can retrieve some values from machine learning and update some data in XConnect. And the second one is a combined architecture. If you don't want to use external application for machine learning, you can implement your machine learning logic directly inside processing engine. And processing engine, as you know, is .NET Core based application that works like processing engine or indexer. And if you have experience with marketing automation, it will be easy for you to start working with it. Now, this architecture, it's about the same as the first one, just we move our ML logic directly inside processing engine. The second one, the third one is combined architecture also, but we can move our machine learning implementation directly in our Sitecore solution. And in this case, we can make direct calls to our machine learning from Sitecore. And the latest one is shared, when we have all separate environment. And we can communicate directly from Sitecore to machine learning. The Cortex is still responsible for extracting data from XConnect and push it to machine learning. And for my demo, I will use this architecture. Okay, let me explain a little bit how my demo is look like. Just imagine we have a product store. We have a lot of customers, about 5,000, and we have a lot of orders, about 2 million. And we want to predict how many orders we will have in future period of time. For example, in my demo, I show you how we can predict how many orders we will have in September this year for any product. And the second one, the same, but grouped by country. For example, how many products in total we will store in Spain, how many products we will store in United Kingdom, and so on. Okay, how to implement it? We have customers. To make our order much easier to filter, we create a custom outcome event that we can add to interaction when contact submit an order. And as a result, in XConnect, we have a lot information about our orders and what all that we need and extract all these orders in our processing engine implementation. How does it work? The main part of processing engine is projection worker, projection framework. All that you need create a new class inherited from iModel interface. It's a wrapper from 2 repositories of WixConnect. Out of the box, we can create a model based on interaction repository and contact repository. If we need to extract our data from any external source, we had to implement our own data provider. In our case, we want to extract our interactions, filter only our outcomes that we have, and create a tabular data set, as I shown you before. How does it look like? We need to know product ID, grouping by product ID, grouping by year, grouping by month, and calculate total sum and count of orders in amount. It's how it will look like after this code will running. We have product ID, year, month, units sold in amounts, count of products in one order, and also we need to know how many units will be sold in previous month, and if we know, in the next month too. Okay, in projection worker, we will create a projection. All that this implement is to show to processing engine what data format we want to have and what repository should we use. When this code will execute it, we will have all this information in a processing database. It's a new database in Sitecore 9. And after we need to retrieve all this data that projection framework created before and map it in POCO class, just list of simple entities. We retrieve this data and just push it to our machine learning service to train. This is machine learning site with ML.NET, and you can see how does it work. We have as input a list of our product statistics. We create trainers for regression algorithm. We labeled our column. No, you should label one column what you want to predict. This column is product stats next, because we want to predict how many orders we will have in next month. To evaluate our model, in my example, I use cross-validation. It's one of the existing machine learning evaluations. For these algorithms, you don't need any other data. You just can use our existing data set. In cross-validation results, you will show statistical information about trained model, how good is it or bad is it. And that's all. Your machine learning is, your training model is already calculated and you can use it. How we use it? From Sitecore site, website, we just call our machine learning where we pass product ID that we want to predict, year and month that we want to know results. Machine learning takes this data, a lot trained model, and create prediction engine and call predict and return us a value forecasting value of future scores for this month and this year that we want. Okay, let me show you a demo. Okay, first of all, we need products. For this demo, I used a real data set. We have a bucket. Do you see? Or zoom it? We have a bucket of many products, and we have a lot of customers. You can see from different countries that make orders. In our analytical dashboard, we can see that these orders are all in XConnect. And what we want to implement is just a new button in Sitecore Launchpad. Okay, because we have a lot of products, we will use predictive search. And as you see, we will have statistic for our products, how many products were sold in past, and what prediction is for September. And you can see we have statistic for a year for each month, and also for recast for the next month. Different products have different charts. For example, spot. It's almost the same. Okay, cases. In this scenario, we will have some decreasing of our purchases. But all of these things is made by machine learning side. And we have the same by countries. And for example, we can to see statistics for Spain, how many orders in total we had in past, and what is the prediction for the next month. And different countries, of course, has different charts. For example, for Poland, we will waiting for a little increasing. And for Netherlands, a very low value for September. And that's all. Okay, thank you. Of course, if you have any questions, I'm glad to ask.
I have a question about this forecast application. Does it come out of the box with the Cortex installation, or is it something you?
No, of course, it's no. to my own
Simply
implementation.
creating your
Yes.
custom implementation, all the graphics out of this. Okay, great. And which libraries do you use?
Hmm?
Which libraries do you use to implement Speak?
ML.NET, and
No,
that's all.
I mean just
Ah,
directly.
I understand. Diagrams, plotty.js.
And how do you think, how mature this Cortex functionality in Sitecore? Because we've seen a lot that early releases of Sitecore new features comes with, you know, some bugs, issues. So current version of Cortex, how mature is it? Does it has any
Mm,
no issues?
yes, it has no issues because it has no any implementation.
Okay.
All that you want to do, you must do it yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And one question from my side. Thank you for presentation. And have you been deployed it in real production enterprise solutions? I mean, this is your forecast.
This demo,
In
no,
some cases,
it's just for fun.
just for investigation demo.
Any, anybody else? So thank you guys.
Раз. Раз. О, слышно. Привет.
Готовишься?
Ну да. Раз, раз. Что-то неудобная, конечно, штука эта.
Думаешь, неудобно?
Ну, она жмет.
Самое удобное, что?
Не, она удобная в плане вообще вот этого девайса в целом, может быть, да.
Микрофон в руках держать?
Не, я имею в виду, что вот именно вот это
Ну, ясно.
личная какая-то. Да, я просто хочу сейчас его потренькать. Да, сейчас. Так вот? К экрану? Две. Одна посередине. Ну, я... Может... Okay. So, hello everyone. Glad to see you also as a first speaker, and thank you for your presentation also. And my name is Vadim Popko. I have been working as a Sitecore developer for some solutions some years. And also, you can see I like Sitecore, .NET in general, C#, and also you can see some of my activities that I have for right now. Okay, let's start. Today I want to show you and I want to tell you about this topic, how we can deploy our local Sitecore environment in Azure like a platform as a service. So this is my agenda. Today we will talk about my story shortly, Sitecore in Asia today. We will discuss our today's goals. Also, we will talk about Azure Toolkit. This is a main toolkit we needed for that. Also, we will have some demos for that. Also, we discuss some issues I faced with it during investigation and implementation this, and also I will answer in your questions if you will have some. Okay, and but before I would like just to shortly ask you about Sitecore 9.2. As you know, it has been released, and have you please raise hand who has known about that? Yes, sorry. And also please raise hand who have tried to install it, for example, using new graphic assistant. Okay. And has anybody just tried to deploy it in Azure, like PaaS? No, okay. So that's fine. We will talk about this. What about my story? So it was, it had started in Sitecore 9.1, but I proceeded with a new version. So one day I just was sitting and have been thinking about, okay, I have a local Sitecore environment, and how I can deploy it in Azure, like PaaS, Platform as a Service. And that seems it's easy. We have a documentation. Let's try it. Okay, and when I started working hard, I spent 1 hour, 2 hours, and I did it, but as you can see, it took me approximately 8 hours. So, and what I am right now staying in the stage and would like to share my experience with that. Okay, and let's discuss a bit about Sitecore in Azure right now. What we have in general. So the first one, we called it infrastructure as a service. So how we can use it. For example, we install, pre-configure some virtual machines if we have one or more, if we are talking about scaled architecture or just a single for development stuff for QA, something like that. So we just installed some VM machines on Azure. Yep, but all stuff we do ourselves. So we install it, we using SIF installation framework, something like that, and we are responsible for all stuff. And another side, we see platform as a service. So what does it mean? So it means that we do not need to even install some virtual machines. We deploy it using a special tool. Sitecore provided it for us, and that's all. So we have just, if we need SQL database, Sitecore, Azure Search, application insights for some metrics, analytics, logs, etc. So And today we just are talking about Sitecore, like a platform as a service on Microsoft Azure. So our goal for today, firstly, we have just a local Sitecore instance in my virtual machine. Our goal just to deploy this local instance, not a new instance for Sitecore. We already have one in our local machine. For example, this is a development machine, and we need to deploy it in production, like Sitecore PAS. This is our goal for today. And also, I put XMO abbreviation for that. And this is also probably this is a question. So what does this abbreviation mean? Who can help me with that? Who knows? What does this abbreviation mean in Sitecore architecture topology? Experience manager, and this means we will have a single version. And this is equals like CMS only mode, and we haven't any analytics modules. Why I just have chosen that? A bit quickly this process will be. So, and I don't know if we see or not, this is just a screenshot here. So if we haven't, if we do not need some analytics, we just have, for example, 4 database in SQL Server. Okay, and how we can do that? And Sitecore Azure Toolkit plays the main role there. What is this? So this is just a deployment tools that provided by Sitecore, and that allows flexible and pretty simple deploy Sitecore. It doesn't matter if this new version is, if we just have a new installed already one. The first time it was introduced with Sitecore version 8.2, and probably some weeks ago when Sitecore was released with a newer version, Azure Toolkit was also updated, and now we have a version 2.3. So, and what this tool can do in real, how we can use it. So first, there are some 3 main features. First feature, this is just package a Sitecore instance into a role-specific web deploy package. The next one, this is package a Sitecore like a module. If we, for example, have already installed Sitecore deployed in Azure, and we developed a new model, so we need to package and also to transfer to Azure. And also the last one, this is a deploy Sitecore to Azure App Service, like PAS. Yep. So we have just 3 main. And our goal for today, we will choose the first one. We will make a local package, web deploy package, and also we will deploy it to Azure like PAS. So how get this Azure Toolkit? We can go to Sitecore download portal and to find out it and download it. So this is just like an archive. You need to unzip it, and after that you will see just some pretty simple folders. So one folder just contains some copyrights, license information. The next one, folder resources folder, just contains pre-configured resources for all Sitecore started from 8.2 inside of this we will have some main folders we will talk about a bit later. Also, one more folder inside. This is a tool folder where we can see I added in a green rectangle. This is a PowerShell module provided by Sitecore. This module just contains some main commands we need to execute in PowerShell terminal just to make this stuff. Okay, let's start. Part 1, we need a package our local instance. So on the left side, we will see I have a Habitat demo corporate site was released some weeks ago by Sitecore guys. It's available on GitHub. And using Azure Toolkit, we will prepare a local web deploy package with XML single mod. Okay, so what we need for that? For sure, we need PowerShell terminal, and first of all, we need to import this cmd-lets command provided by Sitecore, and this is located in this folder. And in my case, so I have just a real path for that. So pretty easy, yep. Okay, so here on the screen, you see the main functions inside this PowerShell module shipped with Azure Toolkit. And for right now, we just need this one, start Sitecore Azure packaging. Okay. And but some parameters are required to run this PowerShell command. So just briefly, we're going to talk about it. Yep. So the first one, Sitecore path, we need just to provide a real website root for our local Sitecore environment. Destination folder path. This is where we are going to grab our package as a result. So also cargo payload folder path. This is tools. We need to point, go to Azure Toolkit. We extracted our archive. Go to our Sitecore version. We would like the latest one. And also we inputted cargo payloads. What does it mean? Inside there is just tools that have some predefined commands for every Sitecore topology. So this tool knows what we need to do. For example, copy website root folder in this archive, prepare the predefined SQL databases we need it for. Okay, and also common config path we need for that, and a bit more. SKU configuration path where we put it also just configuration JSON file with a mod we need. So we are talking today about XM single mod. One more just to also we need to add for XML path, and two optional parameters. Just file version, so we do not need to use it, but if you would like, you're welcome. And integrated security, also optional, but later we will return for this parameter, because this parameter killed me. Yeah. So, okay, and final PowerShell scripts look like this. So if you see, we open our PowerShell terminal in our machine, and we import our main PowerShell module. So here also we predefined all parameters we need, and we extract, we execute the first our functions we needed. Sitecore, start Sitecore Azure packaging, and input all these parameters we predefined here. Okay, and now this is time for demo. I will show you. Just a second, I'll switch to. So I will open my VM. As you can see, I have installed local Sitecore habitat site. Yep. So also we have IIS where you can see this, and so I would like to package it in Sitecore web deploy package. This is also my PowerShell script, but if I run it right now, it will take us approximately 5 minutes. So in this case, I prepared a short video. And we will see that on the left side, this is just empty Explorer window where we are going to see our web deploy package as it I run on the right side my script I prepared, and as you can see, it has been started, and some additional windows started appeared. So what does it mean? This is I don't know if you see, but this is SQL package started working with our SQL database. He just prepared backups of our Sitecore databases. So he just provided some deckpack files for that. So I can a bit switch. So as you can see, the SQL just prepared some deckpack files, and here in left side we will see some stuff is going. So this is just we see a temporary file, but as a result we see that Sitecore just prepared for us a package. And this is a package we will have, we will need. Okay, and how this package just look like? So we have a package. Inside this package, we'll see content folder and also some SQL scripts. This is just for permission, and also we see deckpack files. So we got all backups from our local Sitecore instance. And what inside a content folder? In content folder we have our website root folder, and we have all contents we have in our local Sitecore environment. So it's grabbed from our IIS. Okay. I'll switch to my presentation. And come back to the stage. So, part 2, we need to deploy our prepared Sitecore web deploy package to Azure PaaS. This is the second step. So we have on the left side, we have configured web deploy package. Also, we are going to use Azure Toolkit to have deployed Sitecore in like a PaaS. So what we need, some additional stuff we needed. First of all, we need Azure subscription for that. Also, we need to download additional Sitecore Identity Server web deploy package. We need to target all these web deploy packages to Azure storage container. We need to create it for that. Also, we choose appropriate ARM template for from Sitecore GitHub repository. We need generate a certificate and configure and run our next symdelete command start Sitecore Azure deploy. Okay, Azure subscription. If we have Azure subscription, for example, if you have a client, for sure, client, for example, will provide for us the subscription. Or even though you can just, if you would like to try it like me, you can use also Microsoft today provides a free trial, so you can use it and to test it. Okay, we need to download Sitecore Identity Server. So we are going to go to official Sitecore download center. Also, we are going to find out the latest one. Also was updated recently, Sitecore Identity Server, and as a result, we also have Sitecore Web Deploy Package Zip archive. Okay, so the next one, we need to upload those both, in our case, web deploy packages. So why both? Because we just have chosen XAMPP single mode. So just only CMS Sitecore, yep. If we are talking about scaled, for example, XAMPP mode, so in the first step, toolkit will provide for us two archives, one for CM server, one for CD server. So, and we just choosing single, so we have just one archive, and one archive we just download it from Sitecore portal. This is Sitecore Identity Server. So in the Azure portal, we need to create a storage accounts for that, just to upload those archives to Azure. So we just click a button, give some names for that. After that, we just need to create a blob container to put our packages. And also, you can see that I have already updated as an example, yep. And one requirements for that, we need to add a token in our URL to put it to Azure, because there is some security, and just clicking shared access signature, we can set up expiration for that, and Azure provide for us additional query string we need to add in our URL for that. Okay, so also one great stuff, I also have been using it. You can do uploading or creating containers from Azure portal just using a web browser. Yep. But you can also download Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, and this is a desktop application. Just connect it, and this you can pretty easy just also do the same stuff. So, okay, we uploaded our packages in our portal. Now we need to generate a certificate. So this is just a self-signed certificate, because I'm just talking about not a production, real production, because this is for demo, yep. So this is a PowerShell script. You can grab it and put it. Sitecore documentation also has it, so it's easy. And one more time, sorry. So, and we put it in this folder, but you also can predefine which you would like. Okay, so the next one, Azure Resource Manager, ARM template. So what does it mean? This is just a JSON file we are using for deploying some stuff to Azure, and Sitecore also provided these templates. This is just a predefined JSON files. So what does Sitecore ARM templates include? So there are some definitions, the main. So inside we have Azure hosting plans. We do not need by default to configure it. If we would like to change something, for example, location, data center, we would like to deploy in Azure, if we would like about scale out or scale up. So also we have inside Microsoft Azure SQL databases, application insights, Redis cache, Azure search, because by default Sitecore Azure Toolkit use Azure search. So and if we are talking about, for example, scalable architecture, for sure, inside also some predefined setting for that. And here you can see just our parameters. We also need to pre-configure themselves. Sorry. Based on topology, we just would like to deploy. So in our sample, we would like to deploy XMO. So, and this is just not dozens parameters what I have been choosing just to share it for us. So we need to predefine deployment ID. This is just a name. So location, it means where we are going to deploy our Sitecore to Asia. So we have some data centers, in Europe also. We need to predefine SQL Server login, SQL Server password. We need to, for sure, to point Azure Toolkit to license XML. And here we need to put our URL with tokens we generated. This is Seams deploy package URL for Sitecore Identity Server. We just downloaded, and this parameter single MS deploy packaging for our prepared package in the first part, and also we need to Sitecore admin password and certificate blob information and password. Okay, so, and we just come back to our SAMD main SAMD-lets included in Azure Toolkit. So for right now, we need to use execute another function, start Sitecore Azure deployment, and also some more parameters required. So here you can just see a final script. We put it for sure where our Azure Toolkit is located. We need to point to GitHub where our predefined ARM template is located. Also, we give a name for our site, future site. Also, we pointed where our Sitecore license is located. We need for sure add a subscription ID, my Azure subscription ID. Here you can see location. You can choose not only France Central. It's my just sample, and we need also put a parameters file. So we just talk about here. We need just put it themselves, and this is a file where this file is located in my C drive. Also, I prepared a certificate for that. Also, I put it, and some more parameters. We need to generate authentication blobs. So there are some .NET functions used there. We need to execute it, and also put deployment. Here you see commented lines. This is, as you can see, and also I have mentioned about that, that's Sitecore Azure Toolkit by default deployed Sitecore like a path with Sitecore, with Microsoft as a search engine. So, but for sure, you can switch off that, just uncomment this line and put your connection strings for Solar if you have. Here we also import our module. This is a PowerShell command lets. Also, we need some more at Azure RMA account. When we start it, execute it, the Microsoft will ask us to log in. We will see. And we add a subscription ID for that. And here you can see our final command we would like to execute with our parameters we predefined. Okay, so as a result, we have almost the same Sitecore site just deployed in Azure like PAS. Also, some additional stuffs have been deployed in that time. So this is our Azure portal. So we have our resource groups as we predefined. And also, this is a bunch of services will be installed inside in Azure. So we will see application insights. We see Azure search service. We will see identity identification, our site. Also, we will see a SQL server and predefined our master web database and also forms database. Okay. So, as for the Launchpad, you can see that it works. Before we have installed just single mode in our local machine, but we XP single mode, but we choose XM single mode, that it means no analytics there, and you see no in Launchpad, inside kernel Launchpad, we see no any analytics models installed. Also, what about Unicorn? Because in my case, I grabbed a demo from Sitecore GitHub. This is a habited corporate demo, and sure, Unicorn also works. We can synchronize, deserialize it, and probably you will ask me how we can configure, for example, some configuration sites in Azure. So in Azure, we have a Kudu tool that allow us just to see our drive in Azure. So we can navigate, also we can run some scripts, and you can see all folders, webroot folders there. So we can download it and, for example, change or deploy manually. For sure, we can set up CI/CD process for that, and also we can just even click edit and edit in runtime. So let's switch to our latest demo. So I also prepared a video for that, because this part will took more than 5 minutes. So in my case, it will took about 20 minutes. But we just talking about XIM single mode. So if we need to scalable architecture with CMCD series, with some analytics SQL models, so it will take a bit longer, sure. So, as you can see here, we on the left side we will see our script executed. On the right side, we just see Azure portal that with no records. And here, as I mentioned before, I need to log in with my credentials in Azure portal to validate it, and so for right now the process has started. But one probably how to say, Sitecore doesn't provide any runtime logs for this process in Azure toolkits. It's a bit pretty sometimes difficult because you even know what's happened, and you need to decompile and analyze it. So it's yeah, I think in future it will be extended. So on the right side, you can see I just updated my Azure portal, and you can see that we have a new resource group, and the deployment process just started. And I just scroll a bit, and because as I said, it will take some more time. So for example, I refreshed, 4 minutes just taken. So let's more. Now happened on the right side. It works, but deployment process still working. Okay, and also I switch, as you can see, 5 minutes. And for right now, as a result, I have a message, and our process had stopped. And I see that everything was deployed successfully. And what we see, so we have a resource group. And we see all stuff we are talked about. Probably I will stop my presentation on this step because and try to show it in a real site, because today I do that one more time. Let's switch to our web browser. So this is a real Azure portal, my Azure portal. So this is a resource group was deployed, and here you can see all stuff we discussed that was deployed by Azure Toolkit today. And so, for example, this is our site, how we can understand it. So here we see app service. App service is Azure platform as a service. Or also we can called it app service. So if I click it, so this is my site was deployed, and as you can see on the right side here, this is my real URL. So this is my real site. For sure, this is I have as Azure domain in this name, but this is just for demo. If we are talking about real deployment, sure, we can add our domain name for that, and we can change it. Also, Azure provides for us FTP connections, so we can also connect like FTP and go also to our real site and do some stuff for that. Okay, so, and this is a real site. You also can try, but URL a bit longer. This is a site just working for right now. This is very cool demos habitat was provided by Sitecore recently. So what else, what I would like to also show you. So here, this is a kudu. As I also mentioned, this is also I can refresh it. If I would like to, for example, to go to my site to observe some logs, for example, I choose root folder, and you see this is pretty known for you folders. This is our website root here. And for example, we can go to a config, for example, choose something, include project, and for example, I would like to modify something, and you can see you can do that. Also, you can, for example, download it first of all, and after that to add. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Okay, so what about ARM templates? I also would like to show you. So we have a Sitecore GitHub account profile page, and inside we see a Sitecore Azure Quick Start templates. From this repository, you need to grab to configure in our script to add appropriate template with settings. So in our case, it was Sitecore 9.2. And also you see that every version has all topologies Sitecore provides for us. XM, XP, single, or scaled. So in our case it was XM single. And here you see this some bunch of files, but we need just Azure deploy JSON file, and inside, as you remember, it was a lone URL, so we need to grab a raw value for that. So we got it and copy and so put in our script. So for sure, for example, by default, Sitecore installed application insights. If we can just configure it and switch off using this ARM template, so, but we need to download it and a bit modify it. So, and also a file, JSON file you need to download locally. This is Azure deployed JSON with parameters you need to configure. So, okay. It's pretty, okay. Let's start to switch our presentation. One more stuff to discuss. So now we have deployed Sitecore local instance in Asia like PAS. But sure, when I did it, I faced with some issues, and why I spent a bit more time that I can do that right now, because as I said, the first part will take me 5 minutes, and the second one, as we saw, just 15 minutes, for example. The first part, sorry for this slide, because we have a bit more light in our room, and probably you will not see pretty clear, but I will share my presentation for sure. So first run, when I start package my local Sitecore and run the first command for deployment stuff, I grab one exception. This is a file not found exception. And as you can see, in my screenshot, I committed one parameter. This is optional parameter, but this parameter killed me. So this is integrated security parameter, because when I did it, I thought, okay, this parameter optional, not needed. I started grab this issue, how I can, so I see connection to database is okay. Okay, next line, extracting schema from database. Also, I think, okay, my SQL database, I have another virtual machine for that. So, okay, SQL package tool works also correctly probably, but as you can see, I have file not found exception. For DECPAC SQL database and this is a file located in a temp folder. Just to clarify, when I start my script, Sitecore Azure Toolkit started processed using SQL package to prepare some backups. Database backups, and after that, temporarily, this backups is going to a temporary folder before to make the final package. Okay, and so probably what I have thought about in that time. So okay, the process just grab my first, for example, DocPack file, my first backup, and this just backup file could not be assigned to my D drive. Okay, how I can resolve it? Okay, the first step I did it. I started .pick, decompiling code. So I started decompiling Sitecore Cloud Semless, what's inside this, just to understand, and I find out a method. This is a create decpack method. So it means inside this method, decpack files just prepared and put it in D drive, temporary folder. Okay, sorry also for this screen. I find out this place and grab just some piece of line of code and put in my just console application just to run this method themselves without Azure Toolkit. And I got another error that Azure Toolkit has not shown me. Sorry for that, but this is the message of this. Could not extract package from SQL Server because blah, 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 some permissions issue. So, okay, what I have been thinking about that my Azure Toolkit, even though do not grab decpack file from SQL Server. Okay, I went to my SQL Server, just find out a user was predefined in connection strings, and I just check members for this user, for core user. I just checked how many permissions this user have, and I saw that DB owner wasn't checked it. So, okay, I think this is my issue. I checked it for sure, ran my console application, and got successful message. So, but when I back to official documentation and read one more time, so why I just put this red symbol? So read documentation, please, carefully. Because when I just read about optional parameter, integrated security, so I see that default value false. It means that permission will be grabbed from connection strings from our Sitecore local instance. But if we set up true value, so the DACPAC process will be executed by my Windows user. So it means that I have, as a Windows user, I have administration roots. And when I just, because before I fix it and I came back and committed this parameter, and I successfully packaged my local web deploy package. So be careful with real documentation, because sometimes very important information there. Okay, when I just started to proceed further, also I have another exception. This is an authorized exception, and as we can see, the process would like to add some files in a real root website in our local environment. Okay, so the first solution we do not need. I just rerun my PowerShell tool with administrator. This is fixed, but I grab another exception. This is I/O exception, and the process cannot access the file, also the log file located in my real Sitecore instance. And for that, also quick fix, I just went to IIS and switch off my site. And that's all, but when we deploy it, I grabbed as a demo Habitat project. So inside we have a unicorn serialization, and when I just start run my site, I see that also some access permissions, because by default unicorn serialize, if you grab from Sitecore GitHub, serialize in your project where you can download your source code. For sure in Azure there is no this path. And how I can resolve it? So I went to a kudu, just commented default settings, and added as a solution, temporary solution, a data folder. It should be, for example, Azure DevOps and real source code. So you also can add in a data folder, for example, serialized content. And also after that, I need to change the host name, because as a demo site, Habitat have a dev local prefix. I added a real just provided by during Azure deployment. And that's all. This is all issues I grabbed and fixed it. And here you can see links I used, useful links for that. This is sure Sitecore documentation. Also you need Azure Toolkit. Here the Sitecore official RM templates Git repository with predefined files. And here also a link to my blog post about first part I have already published in a public. So that's all. Any questions? You can ask me if you have some more. No questions? All right, thank you. That's all.
Проверка. Раз. Отлично. Все готовы? Все собрались? So, hi everybody. My name is Artem. I work for Brimit probably for last 8 years already, and so at the same time have been working with Sitecore. And today I'm going to speak about data exchange framework. So probably first time I faced with data exchange framework 4 years ago, and some time to time I was working with it and solving some difficult tasks and so on, and everything becomes like clear for me. But during last months I needed to explain data exchange framework stuff for my teammates, and I understand that nothing changed. Everything is not obvious and difficult to understand how it works, how to build your custom mappings and how it works at all. And so I decided to prepare this presentation to explain high-level building of mappings without reference to any specific providers that we can use to build our mappings. So let's see. So data exchange framework is used to synchronize data between Sitecore and third-party systems. It's a original definition from Sitecore side of data exchange framework, but I'm not really agree with this definition because it can be synchronization between any number of systems. Even it can be synchronization between Salesforce CRM and Dynamics CRM, for example. And Sitecore will be used only for configuring mappings and run this synchronization. It's really unnecessary to sync something with Sitecore. It can be 2 different systems or more than 2 systems. By the way, so this is the list of providers that you can easily download from Sitecore website. And so Sitecore provider is used to create items. For example, if you want to sync something like Sitecore Forms to the items, you need to install Sitecore Forms provider and Sitecore provider, and you will create the items when you submit the form, for example. So as for me, I usually use Microsoft Dynamics CRM provider because it's probably the most often case when we need to use data exchange framework. So in my experience, at least. So Salesforce CRM provider, pretty the same like Dynamics CRM, but the source, the Salesforce CRM. It's clear. So how it works usually? We have some system one, let's say source system, so the system where we will take the data. We have some entity A with 4 different fields there. Then we have the system B, let's say target, with entity B and also 4 different fields. Then we have data exchange framework between them. And when we run our synchronization, some magic happen and data reads from system A and writes to system B. Looks easy, but when we create our first tenant, it's a starting point to building our synchronization and mapping configuration stuff. We will see something like this structure. And there are a lot of folders, types of items. And so what we can do with this, there is some value mapping set, value accessors, what's the difference? Value readers, value writers, a lot of unclear stuff. So we need to read something, but we can't find a lot of information how to build our configuration. So Sitecore provides some documentation, but there are some really dry explanation what the value accessor. So in one line of description, and that's all. But value accessors probably the starting point of our interaction with our between systems. I will show a bit later. So in my point of view, we can divide the configuration and synchronization configuration two main areas, like object-to-object mapping configuration and synchronization logic. Mapping configuration includes value accessors, value readers, value mappings, transformers, and so on. And logic itself, it's creating pipeline batches, pipelines itself, and pipeline steps. Again, we have system A, source, entity R for fields. We have system B, target, and data exchange framework between them. What we need to do first to create our mapping? We need to create a value accessor set. It's only the collection. It doesn't mean anything itself. It's a collection, like a folder. Under this value accessor set, we need to create value accessors for each field that we are going to read. Value accessor for field 1, value accessor for field 2, and so on. It means that this value accessor knows how to read data from field 1. It can be like a property value accessor, so the type of these accessors will be different. For example, property value accessor, datetime value accessor, reference field value accessor, and so on. So the types of value accessors depends the provider that you use to read data from somewhere, from our source system. So these value accessors know how to read data from our source. Then we need to create a list of value accessors for our target system, and everything the same. Each value accessor knows how to write data to the field 1 in target system. And this value accessor will be based on the provider that we use to write data to some system B in this case, or so to whatever. So it can be any system there. And then finally we have system A to system B mapping set. Mapping set again is just a folder, and we create the mapping for each field. So mapping itself uses value accessors to read data from source and then to write data to target. Each value accessor will need to have own mapping. Probably this collection is the first goal that we need to achieve. When we have mapping set, actually we can go to our logic, synchronization logic. But let's focus on value accessors, because probably, as I said before, it's our starting point of building our synchronization. Sitecore just says that value accessor is like a property on .NET class. It provides ability to read and write data, write value. So value accessors looks like it represent. Imagine in this image, in this screenshot, actually we have two providers here installed, Sitecore and Sitecore Forms, and two value accessor sets like contact form entry value accessor set, and under this item I will show, so it's part of my demo. And we have two own value accessor set, one for source system and one for target system. And we also have the value accessors folder. We have value accessor set folder and value accessor. What's the difference between them? But it's easy. In value accessors, we can keep the value accessors that is common for any mappings. For example, if we use the XConnect provider, we usually will read contacts, and each contact have contact ID. Doesn't matter which facets you have there, you always have contact ID. So in my case, Sitecore forms every time have contact ID, because when form is submitted, we have the contact that submitted this form. And enter ID, it's ID of the object that was created when somebody submit the form. So under the value accessors, we put all common accessors that we can reuse for different mappings. Common folder includes some system fields like date time now value accessor if we need map something like data to the target system. A few words about the value accessor configuration. So there can be any number of sections. In this screenshot, we can see the settings, value accessors, and data exchange framework section. Two last section is a common for each value accessors and provided by data exchange framework itself. And there is one important field like converter type. If you will implement your own value accessor, you will to implement this class, and this class can read the fields, all other fields from the item, value accessor item, and transform it in the object that value reader is expected on the input. Value reader, as we can understand, used to read data from somebody, from somewhere, and value writer is used to write data. So we need to understand that converter type creating some default value reader inside, and this field value reader is only used to override the default reader. But we need to remember that our converter creates some specific object, and it will be every time sent to the value reader. And when we try to override value reader, we need to understand that this reader this reader expects exactly the object that our converter creates. So the next stage is synchronization process. Actually, everything starts from running pipeline batch, which is in the same time runs the pipeline processing, and our synchronization logic puts exactly in the pipelines. I defined some general pipeline steps and pipelines that is common for each mappings, like load required plugins. What does it mean? For example, when we use XConnect provider, we need to put some XConnect client. If you work with XConnect, you will understand what I mean. And it puts to our synchronization process in the objects, and then this client will be used to read data from source system if you use XConnect like a source system. Then we need to read data from source system. It can be a single object, or it can be a list of objects. if it's a list of objects, we need to iterate this data. So it's simple iteration actually, just for each. We take each object from data that we read and try to resolve existing objects. So we try to find the object in our target system. If it exists, we updating it. If it's not exist, we just create a new object. Then, when we decided if we need to create object and create them, or if we got the existing object, we just apply the mapping. It's the point where we interact with our mapping configuration. So data exchange framework just took two objects like source and target and send it to the mapping functionality, and the mapping happens in the value mapping setter, in the variable mapping sets. And then we just need to save our objects. So it's some general information how the synchronization happens. There can be much more steps that we need to implement to do some more difficult integrations. So pipeline step, a few words about this. We also have some data exchange framework section which have two main fields, converter type, which do the same as in value accessor case, just read the field that we have in item of pipeline step. And we have the processor type. So it's type used to create the processor which will process this pipeline step, and it also expects some object on input which our converter will be create. So demo time. So quick demo time. Oh my god. So let's imagine we have some register or contact us form with a few fields like email, phone, topic, and preferable contact method, and doesn't matter. So a list of fields, and we have contact form submission entry in Sitecore. It's template. I expect to create items based on this template when somebody submits my form, and I want to put the submission data under the content folder, content item in contact form entries for item as a children for this item. So what I did first, I created them value accessors for each systems. In my case, it's two systems: Sitecore provider. I used Sitecore provider and Sitecore forms provider, but it's our custom Sitecore forms provider. It's pretty similar what Sitecore provided, but with some differences. I created the value accessor for the Sitecore item that will be created when somebody submits the form, and I added the value accessor for each fields in the item, in the target item. So it doesn't matter which fields is. Just want to show some differences, but in this case, no differences. Sitecore forms provider and value accessor for this. I have a few different types of accessors, field value accessor, for example, dynamic list field. If you worked with Sitecore forms, you probably know when you add some list field to the form, you can choose two different types of data source for it. It can be static data when you define just a list of values, or it can be dynamic data source when you use Sitecore items to build, for example, dropdown. And two different types, and actually I implemented two different value accessors to read them. Then I added value accessor mapping set. Where we just choose the pairs between source accessor and target accessor, two fields. It's probably simple, but you need to create these items every time. When you want to map different objects, you again need to create all of this stuff to implement the mapping. So every time you need to create a lot of items. So we already have the mappings, and let's see our pipelines. And here some differences in my case. I have two group of pipelines because I added ability to read all data that was submitted before and was saved in database, like submission data, and another pipeline do real-time import. So when somebody submits the form, immediately it becomes to the Sitecore tree. So it's implemented using some message bus and queues, but it doesn't matter for this presentation. Each pipeline has pipeline steps, so we can consider so these pipelines work the same like it's in Sitecore, implemented in Sitecore configuration. We have pipeline and some pipeline steps which do something. As I explained before, we have the read from data, read from entries pipeline step, which connects to the database and gets some entries that was submitted before. Here I added some settings like the form, where we can choose the form that I want to submit. So the entries of this form I want to submit, and some date-time input to define some period that I want to use to synchronize. Then I have some iterate entries pipeline step, which is just run the next pipeline with a few pipeline steps again. Result form entry, we just looking if the item for this entry was created before. If it was created, we just update it, but in my case it's not possible because the same form can't be submitted so twice. Every new submission will be unique for synchronization process. Apply mapping, where we just choose our mapping set that we created before and update Sitecore item. The pipeline steps for real-time synchronization a bit easy because we don't need to we don't need to read data from database. So the entry data already contains in the context, so in the session, let's say, or in the message bus. And so when my message bus handler retrieves the data from forms, it just run pipelines programmatically and put the target, the source object to the context of this pipeline batch. And then the same pipeline steps resolve existing item apply mappings, and update Sitecore item. Now I can show you how it works. Now we don't have any entries here. Just now I'm going to submit the form. Doesn't matter. Message. So form submitted, and now I used the entry ID as an item name, so it doesn't matter. It's just a demo, and we can see all fields that was entered to the form is set for the item. And now I also want to mention the pipeline batches. A pipeline batch is like a runner for pipelines. We can use it. So it's usually used to run synchronization process. There is a main button of all detection framework, like run pipeline batch. There are a few settings that probably can be useful. We can define the logs level. If everything is fine, we don't need some debug checkbox here, because so there extends our logs with some information, but usually it's not necessary. We can include stock trace for exceptions. It's useful for developers usually. Eventually, when you create your own mappings, your own providers, and you need to understand what's happened with your import, because so if you don't check this field, this checkbox, tick this checkbox, you will see just like the processing was failed, and that's all. So this pipeline batch, in my case, this pipeline batch is used to run the synchronization of all submissions that was before. So it reads the data from database. And if I will click this, it was started. So okay, it's finished, and now we can see all my previous submissions of the forms. So that's all for today. Any questions?
Quick question.
Sure.
So have you had the experience in exchanging a big amount of data from one system to another using data exchange framework? How, if you do so, how performance
As far as I remember, the maximum of entries that it was synchronized, it was something about 2000. It's not really fast. Probably, I think it's not the best solution to synchronize Mylon items, actually. So we usually use it for real-time synchronization, and sometimes for initial synchronization, and then we just extend this data with real-time synchronization. It's useful because you can manage your mappings. So if something was changed in the source system, you just need to update a few items, and it will become to the target system. But if you implement some custom code to read something from somewhere to somewhere, you need to update the code. Thank you.